morning buzz. This is your go-to live broadcast for real-time AI insights, industry trends, and executive level analysis without the hype. I'm your guest host, Nick James. Albert Ramos couldn't be here today, and I have on with me my co-host, Jason Hess. So let's jump
Morning,
right.
Nick. How are you?
Good morning, Jason. So here's what's on the agenda today. We're gonna quickly introduce a new sort of approach to talking about topics that don't necessarily warrant a good amount of time, but it's something that's happened very recently, as in between yesterday and today. And then we'll cover topics that we're more comfortable talking about, where once again, keeping in keeping with our mission to reduce the hype and the noise, we'll talk about more well-established topics in a longer form. How's that sound, Jason?
That sounds great. I mean, AI news comes fast and furious, and every night there's something new happening. So, love to talk about that. But then we can also talk about some things that are a little bit more established and make sure that we're providing some balanced news.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's get into it. Yesterday, heard that Sam Altman came out from OpenAI stating that they want to now start structuring pricing for enterprises starting at $2,000 for a,
$20,000.
well, 20,000 is at the top level, but
Yeah.
three tiers. Right now, the highest priced product is the $200 pro version, which gives you access to O1 and operator and things like that. But the new enterprise pricing is supposedly $2,000 for a high income knowledge worker, the equivalent of $10,000 a month for the equivalent of a software development agent, and $20,000 a month for a PhD level research agent. So they're estimating that these agents will contribute to just about 20 to 25% of the company's future revenue, and that's how they're justifying these price tags. Okay. Any reactions to that? Quick reactions?
Yeah, I think I'm not sure how they're going to be able to pull that off. And I think it's just going to push everyone to their competitors. If you have things like DeepSeek that are offering the capability for free, you've got Anthropic in their Claude Code, where you can get a software developer for $20 a month. Why am I going to spend, $20,000 or $10,000 for a software engineer agent that can do that? And truthfully, I'm not sure it can do a better job because it can write good code, but can it integrate with your systems? And that's where all the AI code generation tools have really been failing enterprises. It does a good job in isolation, but not in enterprise thinking at this point.
Yeah. No, I'm with you, and I think that ChatGPT kind of behaves like Apple in a way which they are not necessarily cutting edge or bleeding edge all the time, but when they do release features, they are very well thought out. But I definitely think that they're going to capture a market that doesn't necessarily want to have to mess with open source technology, and just has that sort of it just works mentality. But definitely, I think they're in for a lot of competition if they're demanding that kind of prices. But moving on,
And I think it will probably end up losing a bit of market share with this approach because everyone else is offering it free or at a lower tier. If they can prove that they can do system integration, which I've got yet to see an AI that can, that may be an option.
yeah,
Let's talk a little bit about Apple with their recent release or announcement that everything that they talked about in the summer with Apple Intelligence, and it was going to be integrated with Siri, and it would completely revolutionize your entire Mac ecosystem. Well, they missed the deadline for the September release, and then they've slowly been rolling out releases, but now they've said they have no plans to be able to integrate with Siri until 2027.
wow.
And I mean, 2027 is about 25 years in AI terms, it feels like.
In AI years, like dog years.
Yes.
Yeah, I think Apple's playing this slow. I think there are obviously a lot of privacy concerns. I think that there may be definitely solid justifications on why their team made that decision, but 100% Samsung's going to beat them out of the water on first to market. But I think that there are a lot of considerations that need to be taken into account. Like I said, particularly from the privacy standpoint, and just how much this device is listening. Although we know our devices are listening. I mean, if I'm talking to you about toilet paper, I'm seeing that on my Instagram feed right away, right,
Right.
Jason?
Yeah. No, this goes into our later topic, but I think it's interesting approach, but it will make. I feel it's going to make Siri completely irrelevant,
It is.
because everyone already has, a chat GPT where they can talk and use computer vision. You've got the Claude apps. Everyone already has their app, so I don't know that you would ever go back to it once you start building that trust with your specific app that you choose.
I don't know if we're seeing a Sears Robux moment here, but I sure hope not. I am fully Apple committed. Uh,
And I don't think they're good. I don't think they'll lose the market share with the devices. They're still, top devices. I just don't think that they're going to be able to get a lot out of this, the AI play.
and
Their AI services now are not great. The summarizations of your text messages or your emails makes me worry. Like, oh my God, what just got sent to me? And then I read it, I'm like, that's not what was sent.
yeah, I mean, even Alexa got a Gen AI upgrade with Alexa Plus now. I mean, it's pretty great.
Yeah.
Um, anyway, let's moving on to the last buzz topic, sort of a short form concept that we're trying out here on the AI Executive Morning Buzz. Let's talk about Salesforce. They came out with Agent Exchange. So in the past, partners were able to collaborate and build applications that interfaced with Salesforce products on App Exchange. Now they created Agent Exchange, which is another version of App Exchange. So they're looking for partners to come in and build agents that interface with Salesforce products and then resell and market those agents. Any thoughts on that, Jason?
I think it's a good play. I see this more like as a plugin of like, okay, I want to know my customer and I want to have a workflow to build out, how I manage my know my customer policies and procedures, and having that agent that there to do that. Where a large organization will have a dozen, if not more, people that are specifically responsible for that quality check. So I think it's a good approach, and then you'll get a lot more customization, because that's really where people struggle with service now, or I'm sorry, with Salesforce, is
Yeah,
there is so much and there's so many features. I just want something customized for my business. So now you can start having that agent exchange that will be customized for your use case, and you don't have to go through the release cycle of when Salesforce will be able to release it.
absolutely. Lots ahead. There's going to be a lot more of these sort of marketplace for agents. We've seen quite a few already, so very excited. Stay tuned. So let's get into the meatier topics. Number one, the rise of AI in marketing. I know that marketing is always the first to sort of experiment with emerging technology. Let's talk about what makes this a topic of significance for today.
Yeah, so you're absolutely correct. Marketing has always been one of the early adopters of technology. They jumped into the Gen AI. Once they realized that it could start generating content for them, that's where they spent a lot of their time and effort. Now, um, many of the marketers I spoke to, they were able to start generating content as well as starting generating images for their marketing content. Where it's getting to now is they're starting to their partner. There's a partner with WPP, working with 3D marketing, and it's going to start getting to be hyper personalized to the individual on
Okay.
what they're marketing to you, instead of a campaign that just broad strokes it out to people like you. Now, because they have that information, they're going to be able to provide that level of integration to give you a hyper personalized marketing campaigns.
So where are they harvesting this information from? Are you talking about like perhaps you leave reviews? Obviously, your purchasing history, but Are they scraping perhaps your sentiment from your reviews, and like how are they
But I
making?
think that's kind of what we'll get to in the ethics part of our conversation is a lot of these companies did not tell you what they were doing with your data after they got it from you. And I think this is where AI is starting to change is being able to say this is what we're doing and how we're doing it. But yeah, they've anything that's free, you're the customer. They're gathering your data and they're getting it from you. So
Yeah,
I think that's where, ethically, is that the right thing? Or should you be advertising, this is what we're going to use with your data once we start capturing it? And that's a great theory of what we should be expecting as customers of like what we're getting from them and how
yeah.
they're using data.
That old saying, if the product is free, you are the product, right? I think Google popularized that, especially with Gmail being free for so long. People have to be naive to think it doesn't cost Google anything to run Gmail.
Yeah.
But yeah, it costs a lot of money for them to run it, but they're also getting a lot of intelligence from you if you read the terms and conditions when you sign up for a Gmail account. But that's
Which
kind of
who does that? It's hurry up. And you get frustrated with the ones that make you scroll all the way to the bottom of it.
maybe we should build a quick browser plugin that's a
To
consumer,
explain, yeah,
yeah,
that would be great.
conditions in just plain English. But this reminds me of Target. I don't know if you remember back in the day when Target got in big trouble for hyper targeting um, the a young girl who was pregnant, who did not she did not know she was pregnant, and because of her buying behavior at Target, Target started sending baby related materials like coupons for Pampers and things like that to her home. And her parents got very suspicious because her parents were way past, the
Yeah.
baby having stage. And so it turns out that Target knew that girl was pregnant before she even knew she was pregnant. So that was a really big debate and debacle, and I believe it went to litigation. But do you remember that?
I remember it, but I don't know how it ended.
I don't either. I think she won the case, because they were taking information that she didn't consent to giving them.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's
And
something
I think that's the
definitely.
balance of really when you start getting to this hyper personalized marketing and the ethical decisions that you're going to have to make as a senior leader and a decision maker of do you want, at what point is providing hyper personalized marketing too far?
And I think that like the probably the greatest answer for now that's the easiest is do you default to opt in or do you default to opt out?
Right.
So that's been very popular. And I think that, especially with GDPR introducing the need for, informing website users of the use of cookies, right? So you see that little banner at the bottom. It says, do you accept the cookies? I think that's been although it's really annoying, I kind of like, having the option to opt out of it first
Yes.
before I start clicking around that website. Anyway, moving on to the next topic. Obviously, there's lots to look into in the marketing space. Moving on to the next topic, let's talk about AI and jobs. Okay, because AI, I feel like, has completely leveled the playing field for candidates who are out there seeking jobs because they all are now using AI to write their resumes, which is making it very difficult for recruiters to establish sort of a ranking order on the candidate based on how their resume is written.
Yeah,
So
yeah. So Gen AI for any job seeker has leveled that up, and now the um, tools that were used to filter out resumes based on keywords are no longer relevant because
yeah,
you can take a job posting, compare that with AI with your resume, and have it write your resume to be able to be an ideal candidate for that position.
yep,
There's a lot of great work that can do to that. It can get customized cover letters that really promote you, and people have been taking advantage of it. And now you know, there was a couple 10 or 20 people applying for jobs. Now there's thousands of people applying to jobs that are hype, that they know exactly, and their resumes look perfectly. So how is that going to change, and what are we going to be able to do? How are recruiters going to be able to define that?
I even heard about a guy in India who created an agent that will log into your LinkedIn account. It will go to the job section. It will filter on easy apply and any other parameters you require, and then it will read the job description, hyper personalize or hyper individualize your resume to that job, and then easy apply for you.
Yeah.
And he ran it in the morning for U.S. jobs, remote jobs, and he woke up in the morning with, like, I don't know. He said something astronomical, like 1,000 responses. So now we're not only talking about humans customizing the resume. Now the agents are doing it for you and then applying for you. So it makes the recruiter's job and their lives very difficult.
So what differentiates you now? What's going to help you get
Standing
ahead
out.
to be able to find, with all of this disruption, first step is you've got to know AI. You've got to be able to dive into it, be able to
Yeah.
interact with it, because it's going to be the future of every job. But as someone looking for a job, what would you recommend?
I would say that finding there are a number of tactics that I used. I would jokingly say that I'm back in the day when I was in the corporate space. I was better at finding jobs than I was actually at doing the job. So I think that there are very human ways to put a human touch to this. I think that figuring out a way to find who could potentially be the representative recruiter if they're not listed on the job listing on LinkedIn is first step. I would look for recruiters at that company and send out a personalized message to them asking to connect. And then if you just so happen to know the hiring manager, it's best to go straight to the hiring manager. And if the hiring manager qualifies you, that makes the life of a recruiter a whole lot easier because they don't have to go source for that role. What about you, Jason? Do you have any tips on staying?
So I think the biggest thing that I've seen in my career is every job I've been hired for, either externally or internally, was because of my relationships and my connections.
Yeah, that's right.
You've got to be able to do that. You've got to be able to have someone that will vouch for you. It will get you through many steps of the hiring process a lot faster than
Yep.
just cold emailing. So, I think we've got some techniques that you and I have used to be able to connect with people, to build those relationships, build those rapports. So when you are looking for a new job, you can start using your network, whether your LinkedIn network, your friend network, your peer network, whatever that case may be, people that will vouch for you to help you excel and get you through the first 2 or 3 phases of the hiring process. I think that's the biggest thing that you can do to counteract the AI to AI communications of resumes and hiring managers' applications to filter out resumes.
Absolutely. Now, let's wrap this all up in a neat bow. I think that there's ethical concerns on both the marketing side and the sort of the you marketing yourself to companies. So the marketing piece was market companies marketing themselves to you. Now this recruiting piece was you marketing yourself to a company. So both are marketing, but both also have ethical concerns. So let's jump into AI ethics, and just let's talk about how do we balance privacy and innovation.
Yeah, so that's the biggest challenge, and where we're really struggling is how to get that balance of making sure that you're building things that are innovative, that are integrated with AI, but also making sure you're protecting the privacy. The example you gave with the young girl in Target, that's a example of going too far with someone's privacy because you have information, because you have trend analysis, and because the AIs have helped you provide that information. This is where it's going to be a decision as organization leaders, as CEOs, of what type of ethical constraints do you want to put in there? And this is something we've built into the AI AMF, is to be able to start having those conversations. What is your expectation? What would you like your AI models ethical concerns to be? And what is that threshold of where you want to be? And you can't just, oh, let me just turn it on and let me see what happens. You've got to kind of set that direction up front so that you get the results when the hard conversations come.
I think it's kind of it's interesting that ethics and bias typically are topics that are very near to each other when it comes to pillars of responsible AI. But I think that looking at more of a meta level, there's bias in ethics, right? Does that
Yeah,
make sense? Like,
absolutely.
yeah. So ethics to me can have a completely different definition than your definition of ethics. So, how do we find, perhaps you could just talk about bringing people on the same on the same page when it comes to a standard for ethics with AI? How do we get to a point where we have a generally accepted definition of ethics? It's a big one.
It's a big challenging problem, and everyone's bar is a little bit different of what they expect to be ethical. And I think the capitalism has a little bit of a play into this of, is it more about making money, or is it more about serving your clients and your community and making that better? And each person has to sit with that decision, understand that decision, and make that determination of where they feel the best use of that is, and what they want to be remembered for.
Yeah. So let's talk about, why should me as an executive, why should I care about this? Who is it benefiting? Is it benefiting me, or is it benefiting my customers? Why should I care about this?
So I think the reason you should care is you want to make sure you're doing right by your customers. You want to make sure that you're bringing in revenue, but you want to do things the right way, and being able to ensure that what you're providing, the service you're providing, how you're taking care of those customers, it doesn't turn on to a front page news issue that will cause significant issues for you. So, one of the things that we always did in cybersecurity was, okay, will this decision put us on the New York Times? Will this
Yeah,
decision put, those were some of the things of like, all right, let's just balance on that. Not that that's the final decision. That is just the top level decision. Each of those have even more incremental decisions that have to be made.
yeah, that's the reputational risk, right? Um, Great. I think that this is definitely a lengthier topic. I do want to cut this just a little short. I want to talk about some new advancements and progress we're making here at the AI Executive. The support for this and the market response for this has been tremendous. We didn't know that we were going to get this kind of response. This was more for us to just be able to. Jason and I and Albert would do this anyway. We said, why don't we do this? And in a more informal way, we do this anyway every morning. So we said, why not just turn our cameras on and just chat with everybody else, and perhaps maybe somebody can get some value out of it, right?
Yeah, no, this was, we used the time at the end of our staff meetings to debate whatever the hottest topic was, and we're like, there's a lot that other people should hear, and so this has been a great opportunity. Love the first month of doing this, but I think we've seen love all across,
All
not just locally, but just all across the across
the globe.
US, people interested in it, and giving us feedback that this is really hitting the mark for them. So
It
we've
is.
been loving it, but I think you've got some big news that we're going to do
Yeah.
next.
So, some of you may know I used to run a group called Web3 Texas a while back. Jason, that's how we met.
That's where we met.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. When you were at JP Morgan, Web3 Texas host, and you were graceful enough to use your what was the name of that program at JP Morgan?
That was our innovation work stream.
Yeah, I think it was the Ignite
Yep.
group. And so they were gracious enough to invite Web3 Texas, use their beautiful facilities over here in their headquarters in Plano. and Jason was the executive sponsor, and that's exactly how Jason and I met. So, long story short, we grew up pretty big community. So we've now pivoted that community that's been largely dormant since I've been working on building White Glove AI and the AI executive. Um, to our meetup group has now been changed to the AI executive. And so we are looking to start doing in-person events, which was a really big step for us. We wanted to test out this format, the digital format that doesn't necessarily require that many resources. And now we are being approached by conference organizers to see if we can start to put some local sort of short form events together and even long form events. So we're very excited. On our banners on LinkedIn or YouTube, wherever you're watching us, there's a QR code on the thumbnail. Please scan that. That takes you to a link tree that lists out all the links and all the different social platforms that we're on. One of the links on there says join our meetup. Please click on that. If you're local to the DFW area, I encourage you just to join our meetup group on meetup.com. It doesn't cost you anything. If nothing else, it just keeps you connected with us when we start to do physical events. Are you excited about this, Jason?
I think it's going to be great because I think it's going to bring a lot of executives as well as a lot of startups that need to get out and get to expose themselves. And truthfully, the buzz around DFW is a lot of AI startups are now standing up, and I think it's turning into a opportunity where we can compete with Silicon Valley, and we can do it the Texas way, not the
Yep.
California way. So I think this is what we're going to start bringing to the Dallas market is an opportunity to share your story, share your technology, and get it exposed and help people bring up their AI literacy level.
Absolutely. Yeah, our focus is going to be purely on teaching and literacy, and no hypes, no fancy panels. I mean, perhaps there may be panel formats here and there, but predominantly it's going to be focused on teaching and AI literacy, because that is the next biggest hurdle we have to get over as a community. So that's where we are putting our resources and focus and attention on. So, any last words before we sign off here, Jason?
No, so we've got a lot of an entertainment going on, a lot of events where we're going to be at conferences doing live streams after the great feedback that we got from the Kellogg event. Everyone really loved what we did, and so we're going to be doing more of that. We'll be out in the public, and then now with this meetups where you can come and you can interact with us and you can learn a little bit. So really excited to what we're going to be able to accomplish and who we're going to be able to touch over the coming months.
Absolutely. So if you are out in the Phoenix area, I will be presenting on our AI adoption and management framework at the Elevate IT Technology Summit that is going to happen on the 19th of March. So if you're out in Phoenix, reach out to me. I got a coupon code for you. We'd love to get you in there for free. I'd love to shake your hand and meet you. But anyway, that's it for today for the AI Executive Morning Buzz. Huge thanks to Jason. We miss you, Albert. He'll be back soon. He's just had some scheduling conflicts. Thank you for joining me, Jason, and sharing your insights, and just you've been just an amazing, balanced voice on this podcast. So, as we always say before we sign off every day, is stay curious, stay innovative, and we'll catch you every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday at 7:30 a.m. Central Standard Time sharp. Have a great day.